Breaking censorship news, boys. Not only has mouthwashing been banned off the freaking Steam and itch.io, but also the UK is trying to force American sites and companies to censor themselves. So let's get into it, boys. The censorship news has only gotten worse. I've got a lot to cover today, so if you like this kind of content and you want to stay updated, make sure you subscribe. Let's get into it. UK is trying to force American sites and companies to censor themselves after their Online Safety Act law came into effect. Guys, I'm tired. I know, right? It's absolutely insane. UK regulators threatened American companies with censorship. We will be monitoring Rumble's position carefully. Not only that, it appears that the UK government has responded to our petition, so we'll get into that later. It's actually crazy. Breaking censorship news, boys. Mouthwashing has now been removed from itch.io. According to artist and the musician of the game, they are now coming for horror games. Then didn't stop at adult games. Of course they didn't. Well, I told you here that they didn't. Everybody that views these videos knows that they wouldn't, knew exactly what they were doing. That's why we're here to fight against this, and I think it's absolutely sickening that this is the route that the internet and gaming and artist and expression is actually moving towards, a literal Puritan era, okay? Martin here saying, of course, mouthwashing got yoinked from itch.io search results. Not surprised, was kind of waiting for it to happen. To be clear, itch has been backed into a corner and had no other options. The issues lie with MasterCard, Visa, and Collective Shout, who push the payment processors to do this. Your anger should be directed towards them. Absolutely. The payment processors are the problem here, guys. The payment processors are run by some puritanical government that wants complete censorship control and to remove anonymity from the internet, okay? Here someone says, wait, what, why? Payment processors like Visa and MasterCard have been pushed by an activist group called Collective Shout to deplatform NSFW content on many major platforms, including itch. Collective Shout had to try to go after Steam, but were unsuccessful, so they targeted payment processors instead. Now, we'll get into how that works later, because it's actually insane how Collective Shout actually got Visa and MasterCard to censor things for them because they couldn't do it themselves because they didn't have a big enough following and nobody cared to know what they had to say. Here Grump says, mouthwashing said the anti-woke crowd made them sick and that we were not welcome to play their game. This is the same crowd that demands more censorship on social media for your opinions. Now censorship has come full circle and bit them in the ass. They asked for this. I don't think that they asked for this at all, okay? I don't think that they asked for this at all. Yeah, it's going after everyone and it will get worse. But I thought that they were only banning icky, problematic things I don't like. We all know it doesn't stop at that. Exactly. For example, it took them less than a week for it to go down from, hey, this is a ban, will just affect your freaking Gooner games, to now having a popular horror game that tackled objectionable subject material in a serious manner just being pulled from the website. Genuinely fucked. Exactly. We all knew where this was going, boys. Everybody here on this channel knew exactly where this was going. But before anyone, I will also say this. I'll read Chibi reviews here saying this, and I fully agree. Before anyone tries to blame itch.io, you need to realize Steam couldn't even do anything. itch.io has nowhere near the same capital as Steam. All they can do is remove games and pray it hits something so big nobody can ignore it anymore, which is exactly what happened. It ended up hitting mouthwashing, which everybody knows is not a game that should be banned just because it tackles tough subjects, okay? It is an artist expression and everybody deserves to have their say, okay? That's the freedom of thought, ideas. It's also the, you know, what moves society forward, and the more that they try to control thought, control society, the worse that it's going to be. This is not the first time in history that governments and countries have tried to control what you and I think, and it will not be the last, okay? Breaking British media is now reporting that authorities could ban the use of VPNs. That's right, boys. This comes after a massive surge in VPN use after the new draconian online safety bill has been censoring the internet. What is going on? What is going on is a Visa and MasterCard want to push some kind of CBDC bullshit, and the government's doing it behind it because they want to ruin anonymity. They want to move on to be like China with their social credit scores, boys. I guess we're all freaking I guess all of us over here are conspiracy theorists now, because we think that it's not just about child safety. We think they actually want to control us. Okay. Anyways, let's move on. GB Reviews saying the UK government is apparently starting to crack down on VPN soon. They thinking they can bypass the restricted internet with a VPN is about to have a wake-up call. It's about control and power for these people. It's not about protecting the kids. It never was. It never was. Here we're saying, wait a second, the government is trying to absorb the Internet Archive. Is that what I'm reading here? Yes, it is. The United States government, after trying to push their own law, which got shot down for the Online Child Safety Act. We don't know if it'll go through yet. We just know that a lot of people don't like it, okay? After that, the United States Senate started trying to absorb the Internet Archive so they could have a history of everything you and I are doing. Jesus, they want to see what we're playing on our freaking Gooner games, boys. They want to know what good content looks like, okay? Let me summarize everything that's happened in the last week. 1, Collective Shout contacts payment processors to get Steam and itch.io to remove adult games. 2, Steam removes hundreds of games. It's actually 27,000 games now of games, and creates an entirely new policy to lick the boots of payment processors. Day later, itch.io removes their entire adult game category. UK Online Safety Act comes into effect, restricting the internet for the entire country to protect children. 5, within 24 hours, UK creates a police task force to monitor political opinions of its citizens. 6, Europe gets hit by age restriction in some sites too, and they find out the restricted internet is coming for them too. 7, people find out the American bill titled Kids Online Safety Act is introduced into Congress to do the same thing. 8, Wikipedia is being asked to censor itself for the UK. Oh my goodness. 9, boys, search engines are not, that's me, not you. Search engines are now stuck in safe mode for certain countries restricting internet. 10, mouthwashing horror game on itch.io is removed thanks to payment processors and collective shout. 11, UK is trying to force American companies to censor themselves after the Online Safety Act came into effect. I think that we can all see where this is going, boys. I don't know about y'all, but I really think that I can see exactly where this was going. And if you want to know how Collective Shout actually achieved this, let me go into it. Well, let's hear it from the horse's mouth. Collective Shout themselves. Collective Shout has responded to their actions and claimed full responsibility. They've also went into protective mode, just like freaking Sweet Baby Inc. Steam campaign timeline. In response to false claims and misinformation about our campaign, we're setting the record straight. They're setting the record straight, boys. They're setting the record straight about how they fucked over the entire internet. Some have asked us why we involved payment processors, and others have claimed we are responsible for itch.io removing all NSFW content. We raised our objections about incest games on Steam for months, and they ignored us for months. We approached payment processors because Steam did not respond to us. We called on itch.io to remove incest games that we argued normalized violence and abuse. Itch.io made the decision to remove all the NSFW content. Our objections were to the content that involved violence and torture. Yeah, sure. That's why all of them got removed. That's why there was this list from the freaking Visa and MasterCard Puritans, which literally hit things like menstruation. Like menstruation is a difficult topic and shouldn't be in video games, and also games that have dismemberment, like Call of Duty. I guess we'll see where that one goes, boys. Evidently, you can only make games that are viewable for 13-year-olds, but no 13-year-olds are allowed on the internet. Does that make any sense at all? They literally want to control everything that an adult can see or not. A reminder, all of these games were completely legal in all of their countries. All of these games were legal, and not only that, they were protected, at least here in the U.S., with the freedom of speech and expression, and every single company that operates in the U.S. should uphold constitutional laws, but they don't. They don't, and that is the number one issue. If you operate inside the U.S., you should hold up to constitutional laws. You should hold up to human rights, and I believe that with the fact, and I will die on that hill. So, boys, who is actually to blame? Is it this NGO run by some ex-CIA chick or something like that that's sponsored by the government? Is it them going to payment processors? Is it the payment processors, Visa and MasterCard, that hold a duopoly on the entire world on 90% of online payments? Or is it the governments that have somehow coincided to all launch an online safety bill act within the same week that they wouldn't release the Jeffrey Epstein files and that Visa and MasterCard did this? Okay, who is actually responsible? Well, I'll just tell you, I think it's the government, boys. I really do. I don't think Collective Shout has anything, and I don't think Visa and MasterCard would risk pissing off the countries that they are operating in, okay, unless they got the okay for it. Let's just be honest, boys. Do y'all really think they'd be doing that? Because, nah, I don't. I think it's the governments. They're all too in sync. It takes a long time to get these bills ready, let alone push them, okay? And it also takes a long time for, these things to be written up. So I think that this was planned. And not only that, I think we're being pulled around. Sorry, that was me, not you. Like a horse with a bit in its mouth, okay, boys? And we're just chomping down at everything that they're feeding us. We need to stop fighting one another and actually stand back against this, because look at what the UK government responded with to our own petition. The UK government said if this got 100,000 signatures, Parliament will consider this for a debate. Well, did we actually get a debate? Waiting for 3 days for a debate. But the government seems to have already responded to ensure that they're working with Ofcom. Now, I would like to read their response, and I'll only read a second of it. Just a little segment, just to show you how fucked up this shit is. Right down here on this line, after we got 3 times the required signatures in the UK, the government doesn't even hold a parliament debate, at least I don't think. And then they respond with this. The government has no plans to repeal the Online Safety Act and is working closely with Ofcom to implement the act as quickly and effectively as possible to enable UK users to benefit from its protection. These freaking mafia tactics, boys. The UK Online Safety Act is literally another mafia tactic. Okay, they're using this to try to break our freaking kneecaps, and we ain't gonna allow it, boys. Okay, why are there petitions if the government won't even respond with what seems to be like a debate? I don't think they held a debate. It still says 3 days waiting for a debate, and the government has already responded with this. And if they held a debate, it was disingenuous from the start. Okay, it obviously seems like there is no use to freaking petitions in this dystopian area of the UK, okay, this Puritan dystopian, government over in the UK. But what do y'all think about that, boys? Paper or plastic? Paper being good, plastic being bad, baby. I'm going with plastic. I think it's plastic as fuck, boys. Plastic through and through. They're basically mannequins. Aliens come from Saturn, the size of Saturn, come to take over the freaking world and make us all into a bunch of brainless Puritan, dragon god worshiping weirdos. We're all out there in the street wearing daggum white caps, worshiping Moloch. Okay, that's good. All right, boys, I'm taking this nowhere. I'll see y'all later. If you like this kind of content, want to stay updated, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. GG's, boys. Peace.